Coming up, Taiwan Tzu Chi volunteers in Tainan help care recipient Mrs. Chen clean up her home. We learn how human activity is slowly destroying the natural habitat of Taiwan's Penghu Islands. Welcome to Taiwan Headlines. I'm Helen Liao. Thank you for joining us. In the aftermath of Tropical Storm Kongray, Tzu Chi volunteers across Taiwan were mobilized to help flood survivors clean up their homes. In Tainan Xinhua District, mentally challenged Mrs. Chen lives with her daughter in a home that is filled with recyclables. As the recent tropical storm flooded her home, foul odors have started to spread from the unwashed recyclables found within. Recently, Tzu Chi volunteers were mobilized to help her clean up. Tropical storm Kongray brought a large amount of rainfall to Taiwan and flooded many parts of Tainan City. In Tainan Xinhua District, care recipient Mrs. Chen's house was severely flooded. Today, some Tzu Chi volunteers are here to help.
Residents in this neighborhood are really disturbed by the foul odor from the recyclables. This time, all the items will be donated to Tzu Chi.
As both Mrs. Chen and her daughter are mentally challenged, her son worked as the sole breadwinner of their family by collecting recyclables. Recently, Mrs. Chen's son passed away and foul odors have started to spread from the recyclables in their house.
There are so many recyclables inside this house, about a person's height. They dry their clothes on top and they can reach the top by climbing up on the recyclables.
Due to the heavy rain, their house was flooded. We came here a few days ago to help them clean up. It was very messy and everything was waterlogged. That's why we have decided to come help them again.
Thanks to Tzu Chi volunteers, this 3-story building is clean and tidy once again. The volunteers also seized the opportunity to encourage this mother-daughter pair to join their ranks in practicing recycling. Now surrounded with love and care, their hearts are filled with happiness and warmth. In the Philippines, various districts within Greater Manila suffered damage as Typhoon Chami passed through the country recently. Following the storm, Tzu Chi volunteers in Ping'an City on Laguna Province initiated a relief work program to help residents clean up.
A bulldozer comes to carry away the muddy debris left over from Typhoon Chami, much of which residents are still cleaning out.
During the typhoon, they asked me if I wanted to evacuate, but in the middle of the night, the floodwaters began rising. I wanted to try to save my merchandise, but the water rose too quickly, so I can only flee.
Nothing remains in the store after the flooding except mud and water-stained walls. Fortunately, several young men from the neighborhood gathered to assist the store owner to clean up so she can reopen for business.
We are so happy to be a part of this relief work program. For in addition to helping clean up our community, we can also earn some money. This is a huge help for us and our families. Thank you so much.
Now that Tzu Chi is here to help us. Cleaning up our home and streets has been much easier. Everyone is so happy that Tzu Chi Foundation is here to assist us.
With love, respect, and a little bit of Tzu Chi's help, these residents will find that life returns to normal for them in no time.
In preparation for their winter aid distributions, Beijing Tzu Chi volunteers are already out in the field putting together a list of potential aid recipients. In the course of their visits, they have come across instances of poverty, loneliness, and sickness. Seeing the suffering, Tzu Chi volunteers are even more determined to do what they can to help.
Following a chance meeting with volunteers, local resident Zhang Heping struggles to make it clear how much gratitude and respect he has for the work and commitment of Tzu Chi. Ahead of their yearly winter aid distribution, Beijing Tzu Chi volunteers have come here to Laoyuan for a clearer look at who will need the aid most come winter. They focus on the poor, sick, and elderly, like 64-year-old Zhang Zhongyue. These 3 brothers, all of whom suffer from various mental or physical handicaps, live alone in a rundown house. Their isolation means that when sick, there is no one to take them to see a doctor. Next, volunteers visit 83-year-old Do Ying. Living alone, the senior has kept his home clean and tidy until a stroke robbed him of his mobility. With the volunteers being his first visitors in ages, the senior cries tears of relief.
我们来了，你高兴；见到你，我们也高兴。
Seeing the volunteers help fix his door curtain, the grandfather breaks down in tears again, moved at the concern on his behalf. Volunteers quickly rush over to cheer him up.
种了大白菜，我看这个谁都没你种的好。我就坐那打灯了。我看你是最棒的。
As volunteers get ready to leave, the grandfather once again expresses his appreciation.
好。哎，不用。
In addition to having to take care of his fields, this 80-year-old grandfather also needs to tend to his 60-year-old mentally handicapped nephew. Busy as he is, he has little time to clean his house, so volunteers decide to help. Only after the volunteer explains that she is performing her filial duties does the senior finally relent. When it comes time to leave, volunteers shower the senior with praise and encouragement.
你这么样的还得照顾你侄子，这真是不容易。
80岁的人照顾一个60岁的智障的人，您很了不起，很伟大，感恩您。
Understanding and empathizing with the pain and burden these villagers carry, the volunteers are thus able to bring comfort and solace to them all.
In 2012, with the Penghu Islands becoming an official member of the most beautiful bays in the world club, tourism is at an all-time high with close to 1 million tourists visiting the area. Yet destructive human activity has put the health of the oceans around Penghu and the animals that inhabit them in serious jeopardy.
现在的青湾内湾就好比是站在一个溜滑梯边缘的人，那一旦他滑下去之后呢，恐怕他就会永远失去现在的样子。
Just like emeralds glistening under the sun, the Penghu Islands boasts a beautiful coastline and clear sea waters. Recognized as one of the most beautiful bays in the world, there is no other place more deserving of this title than the Penghu Archipelago.
左边是海军的军港，右边是我们澎湖的第一渔港跟第二渔港。
However, is such beauty here to stay?
The fish and other aquatic animals all smell of oil. The bigger the ship, the more pollution it creates.
Within 15 minutes, we've arrived in Taiyuan. Although just days since a tropical storm swept through, boats carrying tourists still dock at the offshore platform. Even the boat we're in is a source of pollution. The colorful floating balconies on the other side are in fact marine ranching stations where cobias are being bred in net cages. During breeding season, 60% of the cobias on the market come from Penghu. A local fisherman tells us that there are about 30,000 of cobias bred in the section and they are fed twice a day. Judging from the flock of seabirds, we know the boat carrying fish feed is on its way.
它载了整船的那个饲料鱼要来喂嘛。对啊，你看看，哦，你看那一天要喂多少？
With an actual visit to the semi-enclosed bay, we see for ourselves just how big the impact is.
从菜园武德
From Taiwan to Jing, Qingwan, and the naval port, this inner bay area is severely polluted. The existence of aquatic life and coral reefs are in serious jeopardy.
The Institute's water source comes directly from the bay. In an artificial breeding environment, the water can easily be replaced with clean water. However, the extent of pollution in the ocean can over time affect water quality. Associate researcher Xie Hengyi from the Penghu Fisheries Institute worries that the growing pollution could lead to a spike in ammonia content in the waters and the thickening of sediment.
Imagine that the inland sea is like this tub, and all the leftovers are just thrown into the tub, just like the fish food that is sitting at the bottom of the ocean. It will cause water and soil pollution. This is a problem which we cannot avoid. The water current exchange of Penghu Inner Bay isn't great, and the water which we bring contains pathogens which can easily infect our marine life.
In the shallow waters along the bay, we discovered many oysters and submersive coral covered in sediment. Even the ocean water is not that clear.
Although we can see scattered coral reefs, with the inner bay area heavily polluted, the coral reef coverage is less than before.
With the existence of our coral reefs and tropical fish at stake, saving our oceans has become a pressing issue. Even though the Penghu Islands houses a beautiful coral reef world under the sea, if human destruction continues, perhaps one day such beauty might cease to exist.
In Taitung's Tainan Township, Lalaran tribe from Millet Village was famous for its millet fields, but the trade had been abandoned for 3 decades. In recent years, a pastor took it upon himself to restore the old traditions and heritage.
The early June sun signals summer has fully arrived in Taitung's Tainan Township. Here in the Lalaran tribal village, everybody is waiting for the millet to ripen. These green buds are almost ready for harvesting at the island's famous Millet Village.
In the past, my father planted millet, but in our generation, we hardly grew any until Pastor Dai came back to encourage us to start again.
Millet, in the eyes of these tribal people, isn't just a symbol of the spirit, but also a representation of the strength of tribal life. Thanks to Pastor Dai Mingsheng's commitment, the Lalaran villagers have rediscovered their millet fields, which have lain dormant for over 3 decades.
We just want to inform people of the right meaning behind the Millet Harvest Festival. Many have mistakenly seen it as a time when we just drink until we drop. We want to correct that misconception.
With the support of the village elders, this gift from heaven is flourishing nicely once again.
This is all given to us by the heavens. He is the one that gives us rain and air. If it wasn't so, then we wouldn't be able to grow these crops. So we need to be respectful towards the crop.
A respectful and humble heart is how the Taiwan tribe treats the earth. Not relying on machinery or pesticides, the villagers take the natural route and use their hands to do all the work.
The smarts of our people is to look at nature and see what trees, grass, flower will bloom and plant what's best for that season, not to just plant whatever is the cash crop at that time.
Of course, people are needed to help continue the preservation of centuries of culture as well.
In order to maintain liveliness within the village, we need to get the young people involved. But the truth of the matter is that young people need a job with a steady salary.
In the beginning, Lalaran Village applied for government subsidies to give the younger generation jobs within their hometown. Now, under the hard work by Pastor Dai, one by one, the young ones are coming back.
I'm a Lalaran villager, so I want to contribute what I have learned in society to my fellow people and those younger than me. This way we can spread our culture, knowledge, or even things we learn outside the village to future generations.
Members of this younger generation have even established a Lalaran millet workshop within the village to share their traditions with more people.
We don't have to rely on outside resources, but instead, we should know how to use our own assets to inspire interest in us. That's how we build confidence. That's what we are doing here today, and we hope to inspire other villages to do the same.
At the end of the day, these tribal youths are so proud Taiwanians.
绕了一大圈之后
It's a full circle. At the end of the journey, you still need to go home. It's not only physically going home, but your thoughts and emotions too. I think for a young person, this is a very important concept of belonging.
是一件很重要的事情。
Currently in Taiwan, all men are required to fulfill their compulsory military service. However, starting from 2015, Taiwan's military will become an all-volunteer fighting force. Next, let's take a look at this major transformation of Taiwan's military and the problems that may come along with the new recruiting format.
Regardless of what life you live, all male citizens are required to serve in the military.
In Taiwan, all male citizens have to fulfill their compulsory military service. However, with changing priority over the years and a declining birth rate, the amount of soldiers recruited each year has decreased dramatically. As a result, the policy of military conscription is slowly fading away in Taiwan.
Right now, we are in the age in which war is all about high tech, which means that less manpower will be needed. What we need to focus on now is to improve the quality of our soldiers.
With the compulsory service period shortened, soldiers are no longer as familiar with their weapons and equipment. Therefore, starting from this year, Taiwan's military will introduce the practice of a volunteer-based military. It is hoped that by 2015, all military branches will be volunteer-based.
The benefit of an all-volunteer military is that soldiers will stay longer in the military, which will help them become more familiar with techniques and weapons. Second of all, we hope this plan will help us maintain our fighting capacity.
To encourage young people to join the military, a military promotional video was made. In the video, soldiers are turned into Iron Men to protect their country. In reality, Taiwan's military can't recruit enough soldiers.
It is hard for us to encourage young people to join the military. The general public still holds on to the stereotype that being a military officer is not a good job.
In another video, young men are turned into professional soldiers and operate high-tech aircraft and weapons. However, can such a video really attract youngsters into joining the military?
愿意。为什么？因为找不到工作。如果是我的话，我不愿意。为什么？因为就觉得就是当兵好像就是有点浪费时间。
According to statistics, last year Taiwan's military aimed to recruit 15,311 people. In the end, only 72% of that goal was met. Last year, the goal was dropped by 1.2%. In 2013, the military aimed to recruit 29,000 people, but as of July of this year, only 4,000 people have signed up. In order to encourage more youngsters to join the military, the Ministry of National Defense has decided to increase the salary of soldiers. Currently, a private receives approximately $967 per month, and in the future, the salary will go up to $1,233 per month. Will this dramatic increase in salary attract more people to join the military?
After recruiting these soldiers, we don't know how many of them will be willing to stay and work long term. Quality of soldiers is another problem we need to consider. This plan is not as perfect as it looks.
Over the years, Japan and the United States have also encountered a shortage of soldiers. In Taiwan, as the idea of an all-volunteer military is still new, the government will need to re-evaluate and readjust as time goes on. However, as that the safety of a country still lies in the hands of its soldiers, therefore in times of need, compulsory military service will still be intact. Since its first publication in 1989, Jing's Aphorisms has offered countless instances of inspirations to residents in Malaysia and changed their lives for the better. Today, some 60 schools in 7 states of Malaysia have extensively adopted the words of wisdom, which in turn has brought positive influences in students.
Here at Malaysia's Kitwak Primary School, something is different. It turns out that the school replaced the traditional school bell sound with Tzu Chi's words of wisdom, and it seems such a step has been influencing both students and teachers for the better.
Don't ever look down on yourself, as we have limitless potential. When we face any difficulty in our studies, don't give up. As long as we keep working hard, the fruits of success will come along.
Currently in Malaysia, over 60 schools in 7 states have already adopted the Jing's aphorism bell. Among them is Union School in Tainan.
爱护身边物，惜福且知足。
Jing's aphorisms have served as the mottos for each individual in the school. As we hear these words of wisdom, imperceptibly, we will learn more and more life mottos, which can support us in overcoming any obstacle ahead.
Since their first publication in 1989, Jing's aphorisms have offered inspiration to members of the public around the globe. In 2009, to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Jing's publications, the Tzu Chi Malaysia chapter launched a campaign to promote Jing's aphorisms to local businesses. Numerous liaison offices joined the event as well.
马来西亚的慈济人呐，好多年以来呢，都一直把静思语好话呢推向了社会。可以看到了慈济人那样殷勤欢喜哦，那不管有什么挫折啦，他们呢都是再接再厉。不管看到了什么样的脸色啦，他都是呢无怨无悔哦。他认为这就是他们的道场啊。
3 years ago, Tzu Chi volunteers' footsteps found their way into the Notem Hotel and Gurney Hotel in Tainan. Other than the Bible, the hotels now offer Jing's aphorisms as part of the reading provided in their guest rooms.
As a human being, we have to be kind to people, not only to people, I think even to all living things.
I feel anything which is goodness, we normally will share, even like other religions. And I feel that it's something which we can share with general public, especially hotel is a platform. Then we can give all these books to share with someone. That's why I'm without any doubt, I just accept it.
As well, with the encouragement of Jing's aphorisms, Wang Zhenying found the strength to move on with life despite losing her left eye as a result of complications stemming from renal failure. Although now wearing an artificial eye, Wang remains confident in herself and her appearance.
No, not at all. Now I feel more comfortable in facing my condition. I even ask my friends to stay calm if my eye ever drops out.
That is the power of Jing's aphorisms. As a random sentence inside a volume may transform your mind or soul and change your life for the better. The wisdom within Jing's aphorisms is a spiritual remedy that applies to all humanity regardless of ethnicity or language.
We go to New Zealand at the end of the show, where Tzu Chi volunteers in Auckland arrive at the Carson School for Cerebral Palsy with storybooks to encourage the students to keep up their effort. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching the headlines. Goodbye.